Welcome back to 20 Slams of Christmas. We pick it back up. 2006, we're going to the Australian Open.
I have an incredible record too, in the last couple of years, so I hope I can take that into the match.
And throws in another ace, his fourth. 5-love, Federer, opening set. That was the signal last night.
Oh my God, that goes over. Wow, that almost went over. He almost wristed that one over.
Something better may happen these next couple sets.
And then, last but not least, I would like to thank Rod and Label for a trophy.
Now, the thing about 2005, yes, Federer had the highest winning percentage for an entire season of his career in that year, but those losses were very tough to accept, like losing in the semifinals of the French Open, losing in the semifinals of the Australian Open, losing in the finals of the Tennis Masters Cup. In both 2006 and 2007, Roger Federer will make every final of every major of the year. Roger Federer will only lose to Rafa Nadal in 2006, and one other surprise loss that we'll talk about later as we work our way through 2006, a part of Coffee Breaks Tennis's own 20 Slams of Christmas. We got a couple days left to finish this all up. This evening we'll be drinking gin and soda instead of coffee and cream. Federer finishes 2005 with a loss to David Nalbandian in the finals and a one win away from tying McEnroe from the best statistical winning percentage season of all time. He quickly strikes back hard, winning in Doha in the Qatar Open against Gael Monfils, and then goes to the Australian Open where he has a fantastic run and faces kind of a surprise finalist, but a guy who had a lot of flair, a lot of fun. It was a pretty fun tournament. Of course, it was Marcos Big Baghdadi Baghdadis, the Cypriot from Cyprus. Roger loses the first set, but handles Baghdadis relatively comfortable, 4 sets.
Baghdadis hits back for the first time by Federer. But Baghdadis on the full run, rips it across court and leaves Federer standing.
Again, Federer.
It's sweeping the nation. Hiroshi.
The forehand error. Federer broken for the... 43 minutes. Marcos Baghdadis has won the first set 7 games to 5.
What defense? French Open? Too good.
Roger has matched that by winning tonight, so only Sampras and Federer have won 3 in a row since Rocket Rod did in 1969.
I don't know what to say. I hope you know how much this means to me. I guess it's all coming out now. God. And last but not least, I would like to thank Rod and Net Labor for a trophy.
Roger Federer will then go to Dubai with a 16-match winning streak and lose to Rafa Nadal in the final. This will be the only person to treble Roger for the next 2 years.
Federer, que venía de ganar Wimbledon y el US Open del año 2005, ganar su primera corona de Grand Slam, que es Roland Garros, en el año 2005. Venía como un maestro ya en arcilla. El mallorquín obtuvo 36 partidos ganados en arcilla el año 2005. Qué buen rally. ¡No! No te creo. Qué passing de Nadal y qué rally también. Nadal más agresivo. 0, Nadal arriba. Triple punto de partido.
From there, we go to the Sunshine Double. Roger Federer wins in Indian Wells, gives James Blake a bagel in the final. This will be a thing we'll see throughout this year. In matches that are close in this year, you will see at times Roger will dish out a bagel in the middle of the match just to kind of remind the opponent that he is by far the best player in the world. Roger wins in Miami. This makes Roger Federer the first person to win the Sunshine Double in back-to-back years, and it gives him 3 Indian Wells victories in a row. Of course, Roger is the first to win the 3 Indian Wells in a row. After the Sunshine Double, we're back to talking about, can Roger win all 4 majors in 1 year? This year, going to the clay season, there is a lot of excitement for this to happen. We also get this feeling the following year as well. We'll talk about that in the next video. In Monte Carlo, Roger Federer has an actually pretty tough opening match against Novak Djokovic.
There goes the first set. 6 games to 3 in 33 minutes.
Not intimidated when he sees a short ball. Seizes the opportunity. Getting some short balls, and Federer has taken some pace off of his own shots, and Djokovic is using that to his advantage as he takes the ball and goes straight up the high part of the net. And with a couple of Djokovic guessing appropriately on this backhand, spun wide on the serve. He takes it early.
Federer overcomes this first meeting with Djokovic and gets to the final relatively easily, and then loses in 4 sets against Nadal. He still can't beat this guy on clay, and of course Nadal is on a crazy clay winning streak. And Federer will not beat Nadal on clay this year. In fact, no one will beat Nadal on clay until we get to 2007. Of course, we'll talk about that in the next video. Now, in Rome, we get one of the best Masters finals of all time. We are very near the end of best of 5 and finals of Masters. Not every tournament is doing it. And in 2007, we're going to see some of the tournaments completely stop it. But we still have it here in Roma, and Roger and Rafa go 5 sets in a match that lasts 5 hours and 5 minutes. With all these 5s, I find it funny that in the 5th set final tiebreaker, Roger Federer wins only 5 $5 foot-long points. Of course, Nadal wins 7. One of the best matches ever. Both players are so worn out from this crazy match that they both pull out of the Hamburg Masters, the next tournament before the French Open. We go to the French Open. Now, when we go to the French Open, Roger Federer has a 44-3 record for the year 2006. All 3 of those losses coming from Rafa. The one that's kind of surprising on a hard court in Dubai. Not so surprising, 4 sets in Monte Carlo. Surprising because of the crazy nature of the 5-hour, 5-minute, 5-set loss to Nadal in Roma. And other than that, 44 wins. If Rafa Nadal had never been born, this would be a year where Roger Federer lost to nobody except for, of course, maybe one person, the one person we're going to talk to about later. There is real talk that Roger can pull it off, and even though he loses that 5-set epic in Rome, it's such a close match that's not insane to say Federer can find a way to do it in the French Open after how clutch he's been in all these majors, winning pretty much everything for the last couple years. And Federer fans must have thought, this is it, when Roger Federer wins the first set 6-1, playing super aggressive, doing everything right, everything going smoothly, except for this is really where we see Rafa go into high forehands, hit to the backhand over and over, lockdown mode. We've seen it before, of course, but Rafa does it so well in this final that it seems like from here on out, Roger does not really ever get closer to beating him on clay. The 2007 French Open final is, not a beatdown or anything, but I feel like this one is closer for Roger. He gets further away, especially in pressure moments like when he has breakpoint opportunities. And of course, in 2008, Roger looks like he'll never beat Rafa on clay ever again. At the 2005 French Open, Roger is winning easily through the draw until he reaches Rafa Nadal. And, it's a close enough match to feel like I'm getting closer, I'm getting better. This has to feel like a little bit of a setback. I know he wins the first set and it feels a little better, and he's in his first ever French Open final, but it can't be too comforting for Roger in his hopes of one day beating the King of Clay.
Certainly we'll see throughout this match Federer looking to be aggressive and to get in there and finish points off.
I was going to say, do you believe you'll see him more at net than we've ever seen on clay? Well, Federer saves that game. 5-love in the first. Well, a turn early second set for Nadal.
Play well at the same time. Sometime soon.
Well, Federer disgusted. Well, what a turnaround. And Federer drops both points on his serve.
From there, we go to Wimbledon. Roger leaves his least favorite surface, like we said in the last video, 2005, and goes to his favorite surface. And this year, Roger is really taking advantage of the fact that he likes playing here much better than he does on clay. Roger works through the draw without dropping a single set. He embarrasses opponents along the way. This was pretty much standard when we watched Wimbledon in those days. I mean, you know, he does it now too, but obviously back then it was just unbelievable. And you really didn't believe that anyone could beat Roger on grass. Of course, Rafa makes it to the final. This has to unnerve Roger just a little bit, thinking, you know, I'm having this perfect year. He is going into Wimbledon. Going into the finals of Wimbledon, Federer is now 55-4, all 4 losses to Nadal. This freaking guy, Nadal, who's ruining his perfect year where he would be 59-0 without playing Rafa, you could argue the way he beat everyone with ease on clay. Roger is 55-4 in the Wimbledon final. This freaking guy, Nadal, who gave him his 4 losses, is there in the final on his favorite surface. You know, in previous years, Rafa didn't come close, but now Rafa's there in the final of Wimbledon, of all places. Roger bagels Rafa to show him how he feels about Rafa following all the way to the finals of his favorite major.
Oh, yes. Absolutely amazing. A beautiful backhand passing shot here. Nadal doing his best to get to a net to establish position, but there's nothing that you can do to defend against that.
And we all feel like Rafa, just like Roger can't touch Rafa on clay, we all feel like Rafa can't touch Roger on grass. But Rafa does force Roger to play 2 tiebreak sets in that final 2006 Wimbledon. That right there shows us, wow, this guy refuses to lose. He refuses to give up. He finds a way to adapt no matter what. This is somebody to watch out for, even for Federer. I'm sure some Fed fans were probably like me and felt like Rafa will never stand a chance. You know, I didn't want to even think it was possible. But I'm sure some smart people like Intiri, who comments below a lot, comment below if you ever read Intiri's comments. Someone as astute as Intiri probably would have seen this as a sign of danger from Rafa to come. Of course, me, blinded by my Federer fan bliss at the time, thought, this is a fluke. Rafa will never challenge Roger anywhere except for clay. You can imagine how hard it was for me during the 2009 Australian Open final.
Because of the heavy topspin on that. 1-0, Nadal. Easy to time it. Brilliant passing shot.
Haven't seen this so far, have we? Haven't seen this from Nadal. Love
2-0, Nadal.
The win at Wimbledon gives Roger Federer 8 majors now. He's now tied with legends of the game, Ivan Lendl, Andre Agassi, Jimmy Connors. Roger is in the conversation now, and another major will put him ahead of those legends of the game. Of course, he will go ahead of them. In the previous year, Rafa and Roger, Rafa doing it 3 clay tournaments, I believe that would be Monte Carlo, Rome, and Hamburglar, and Madrid, which is a hard court back then towards the end of the year. Rafa had won those 4 Masters, which is a record, but Roger also won 4 Masters in 2005. They both held this record. Roger now has 3 after he wins in Canada. Canada Masters being Roger's 3rd Masters 1000. Of course, back then it's Masters 500, but whatever. Masters tournament win of the year. He goes to Cincinnati, and to put this into perspective for you, this is Roger's 12th tournament of the year in 2005. 2018, Cincinnati was Roger's 8th tournament. So deduct 4 tournaments today. That's how he does it with the schedule today. Roger goes to his 12th tournament of the year, Cincinnati. Fast, hard courts, great place for Roger. And he has a chance to tie and then beat his own record if he can get another Masters, which he does later in the year. Of course, this doesn't happen. It's that punk teenager kid from last year who never could beat him, but he sneaks an easy win, a shocking win. Andy Murray, or as they called him back then, Sir Andrew Murray.
Oh, he's made it. That's an outrageous winner. I thought he'd missed it. Well, if you weren't a believer before this match about Andy Murray, you will be right at this stage. He's read it. How good is that backhand up the line? There it is, Andy Murray, and you can see what it means to him. He's just beaten the world #1. What a moment for the young Scot. Federer out of Cincinnati.
But this loss to Andrew Murray, Roger throws it away into the dumpster of his mind, forgets it, moves on, goes 29-0 to finish the year. He goes to the U.S. Open, beats Andy Roddick, no problem in the final, 4 sets. At this point, Andy Roddick has to be losing any faith he has of beating Roger Federer, at least in a major.
Oh, that's bad luck. That's a fantastic play.
And finally, Roddick with a hold, 3-all.
Federer does with it. Yeah, he, again, didn't do enough with the approach shot.
Federer has the trifecta at the U.S. Open.
Also interesting from this 2006, Roger Federer in the finals of all 4 slams that year, and my favorite female tennis player of all time, Justine Henin, who I always thought was like the female Federer, just a little smaller, a miniature Fed. She is also in the finals of all 4 majors that year. This is the only time in the Open era that that a man and woman are both in all 4 finals of the slams in the same year. Fed wins the 4th, would be 5th if he had beat Andrew Murray in Madrid on the hard courts there for his 4th Masters of the year, tying the record. Then he goes to Basel, Switzerland, und die Schweiz. And Roger, 3rd time is the charm for him because in his home tournament where he was a ball boy, he'd never won it, been in the finals 2000, 2001, finally now in 2006, 3rd time's the charm, Roger Federer wins it. And then finally, in the Masters Cup Shanghai, which is considered carpet. Now remember when Roger lost to Nadal earlier in this video in Dubai, that was the first hard court loss Roger had had in over a year. The last time was Murat Safin, 2005 semifinals Australian Open. Roger makes it all the way to 2006 after the Australian Open in Dubai. So like 6 weeks after the Australian Open, something like that. Now you might be saying, Matt, what about Nalbandian in the Tennis Masters Cup Shanghai the year before? Well, that is considered carpet, indoor carpet. So back on the indoor carpet we are again. Roger Federer wins this Tennis Masters Cup. We know it because he goes 29-0 to finish the year. And he beats David Nalbandian, showing him ain't no thing this year. Although Nalbandian will still give Roger a little more trouble in the future. Nothing too big of a deal, though. Roger destroys Nadal in the semifinal, which must feel good after Nadal challenged Roger, gave him 4 losses. Roger beats him at Wimbledon. Roger gets another win against him to show him, hey, on the fast surfaces, off the clay, I will beat you anytime, any place. And this seems true for a little bit more time. But there will be, of course, much more challenges to come from Rafa Nadal in the final. Like I said, it's a theme. Roger finds a way to lay lots of bagels on lots of the top players at the time. Anytime they show an inkling of maybe being able to challenge Roger in a big match, he seems to lay a bagel on him. Just take a look at the win list. Look at all these freaking bagels Roger dished out throughout the year. So just to recap some of the stuff from 2006, by the way, thank you for watching 20 Slams of Christmas 2006. We will do 2007 tomorrow. Maybe I'll even sneak 2008 into the same video, or maybe we'll do 2 videos, but we're going to have to rush this to get all the way to 2018 by Tuesday. So to recap, in 2006, Federer wins 12 titles, 3 slams, 4 Masters, and a Masters Cup. 16 finals out of 17. Of course, Andy Murray stopped him from getting to the finals of Cincinnati. Otherwise, Roger would have a perfect 17 finals and 17 tournaments in a year. Now, I know percentage winning for the total year, 2005 is Roger's best, but many people consider this year, 2006, Roger's best. Of course, what I'm telling you, 92 wins and 5 losses. The percentage is lower, but remember, what was it from last year? It was 82 and 4 losses or 81, something like that. Yeah, he has an extra loss this year, but he's got freaking 92 wins. That's insane. And of course, 16 finals out of 17 tournaments, all in 12 measly little tennis months. Of course, Roger wins 3 Indian Wells in a row, first person to do that, and wins the Sunshine Double back-to-back years, first person to do that. 12 titles, that's 1 per month. 3 of them are majors, 4 of them are masters, 1 of them is Tennis Masters Cup, World Tour Finals as we know it today. This was an incredible year, but my question to you, and remember, please watch tomorrow for 2007, comment below, is this in fact Roger Federer's best year? What's the guy's name? Steve Tignor, I think, that writer who writes for tennis.com. He said in 2011 he made best years. This is the second best year of tennis of all time behind Rod Laver and his 4 slams in 1 year. But this, for Federer, of course, second of all time, first being Laver, this is Federer's best year of all time. According to him, according to a lot of people, comment below. Do you think this is Federer's best season? To me, I feel like 2017 is his best, just because of how amazing it is. Obviously, he didn't win as much, but it was more enjoyable than anything. You know, I lived this one. This one was very enjoyable. I think 2017 may be more enjoyable, but this is because of the age. As far as a person in his prime in the sport of tennis winning a lot, this might be the best one. See ya!